to get a vertical, would you just chuck it up
Yep.
vertically?
Yeah, so you just put this in either a rotary table, or they have 90-degree vices, as I'm sure you know. Okay, so follow me over here. So you're going to put your frame back in the fixture, and you're going to note that most likely that it doesn't fit. Yeah. So yeah. Wait, what? So I set my head angle to 72. I set my C-tube to 73, and I set my head tube bottom to 448, and it didn't fit. It wasn't even close. And does anybody know why? Why I'm not like, holy crap, I totally messed up.
Because you haven't bent the frame, it's got heat distortion to it.
Yeah, so what does the heat distortion do with, how come it still doesn't, how does that explain it not fitting at these dimensions?
Because when you heated it up, it pulled it one direction or the other.
And specifically, it pulls it in, right? You've got a triangle, so there's nothing that's gonna expand it, it just goes.
Shrinks it.
Yeah, so we're gonna find that it shrinks. So the way I do this is I set my head tube bottom and I set my head tube angle. I put the head tube in, and then I swing this back, set this to the C-tube angle, and then slide this forward or back until it fits, which is what I did. But on mine, this didn't fit. This was lower, so I had to just steepen the head angle just a little. This is a huge distance, right? You do just a little bit of movement here, and it's gonna move a lot more down here. So I'm still I wanted 72, and this is like 72, and it's about a quarter. Maybe just under a quarter, right? Kind of what Matt's getting at here is nobody would ever notice. You could have the exact same bike set at 72, and this one set at whatever it is, ride one for a year and switch to this one, and you would never know. So
It's like 5 PSI higher than
yeah. And can you tell? Well, you certainly can tell now. Well, maybe not. PSI, 5 PSI. Okay, so that's how I do this. And then when this is in, then I finagle this as needed, like we talked about before, based on what's going on down there. This one fit dead on. I mean, it's 73, and that's 70. I couldn't get more centered than that. So it's normal. That's my point. Okay, so once this is in, you want to make sure that if you've got a 68mm shell, that you have that spacer. Remember, do not forget that stuff now. Don't forget the small things. So I have my spacer here for a 68mm shell. If you guys have a T47, make sure that you obviously get the adapter kit if you don't already. And then, shouldn't have done that already. I need to set my BB drop, and my BB drop is 75. And the way you set your BB drop on here is just like you set everything else. So if you look on here, there's a scale. You read off of the bottom of the assembly or this carriage, and make sure that you have a BB drop and not a BB rise. So this is 0, right? So if I put this face on that diamond, centered on that diamond, it would be a 0 BB drop. So if I want an actual bottom bracket drop, this has to come up so that my bottom bracket stays lower. Does that make sense? Okay, so for me, this is a 75 bottom bracket drop, so I'm between right in the middle of 7 and 8, which last I checked was 75. Cool? Okay. Now, I like to orient this vertical relative to hanging my chainstays, and the reason why is because you got a whole lot going on when these things match up, so you want to make sure that you don't have this thing going on, and it's already gonna try it. Like if you just loosen this, you can kind of see how just gravity's gonna want to pivot this off that way. So be aware of that. We'll get this in a little carriage here, and then I can size it. I'm kind of doing all this at once. If I were you guys, once this comes out of the fixture for mitering, I would deburr it and then get it into a fixture. but because I'm trying to move things along, I'm bypassing the deburring stage. Okay, so I know I need to come in 5 millimeters on my BB shell, so I can set this to 5. Make my marks. And that way I have some witness lines. Witness. And I'll slide this down, and when you slide this down, try and let it slide down in a very controlled manner. You don't want it, again, gravity to take place, take a hold here. And so what I pay attention to is this slot right here, right? I try and make sure that it's even before I tighten it down. Okay. So when I do that, I put this one out, see if it'll get out to the 5, which it's not having a too easy of a time getting there, right? It's actually not getting there. But look at this one. This one's floating. So what does that tell you?
It's the acute
Canter.
obtuse issue.
Yeah, but which one's is one longer or shorter?
This one's canted, this one.
No one's longer.
This one's longer,
All right.
right? Okay, so let's go back to what I said there. These were in the fixture like this. The hole saw came across here like this. This was my non-drive, this is my drive, right? So the non-drive goes like this, gets out of the way of the hole saw. The drive deflects the same way, but as it deflects, it gets into the hole saw. So we did both those cuts at the same time, and they both went like this. And so not only is one longer and one shorter, but it's by a factor of 2, right? So whatever this one is off of the center line, this one is the other way off the center line, if that makes sense, right? It's rare when this doesn't happen, and it can, it depends on the angle. So you can have stays that come in and are almost perpendicular to the miter. And then we've got even more extremes, right? We could have, like your fat bike was pretty
like
crazy
that.
last time. You get a pretty extremes where this is really acute, or really, yeah, acute, and this is really obtuse.
It's like a millimeter shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
So-
was fun to braze.
Okay, so I need to do some work. I need to file this one and let this one kind of do its thing. So real quick, let me show you what I do, and then I'll let you guys go. I'll keep this in here. I'll keep the dummy axle in here. Pull this out, and first of all, make note of where it's touching. And in this case, it's touching everywhere, which it should, because the machine mitered it, and the machine is a badass. If you think otherwise, you gotta come talk to me. Woo me out in the parking lot. So what I'll do here is put this in the vise. Use the wooden blocks. Go gently, Eric.
I know.
Gently, Eric.
Yeah, don't overdo it. With a big 1/4-inch hole.
Yeah, if you guys want to see what happens to your tube when you clamp it too hard, take a look at.
Oh, that one.
down.
Okay, yeah.
That's a bummer.
Or Tyler's.
You did it too?
I didn't do it.
Definitely squished his tube.
Oh, that was on purpose.
Really?
Oh, yeah, you're talking about
yeah.
at the seat? Yeah, that was on purpose.
No.
Look at his down tube and you'll see that they're
Okay,
not on purpose.
yeah.
Okay, so this is, this miter is for the BB, right? So the BB is 1.5 inches in diameter, so you're gonna go with the big file. I'm gonna catch the miter with the file, right? I would really like to align this so that it's parallel to the vice jaws, but I can't. It's not cooperating with the block and the oval. So it's a bummer, but every time I go to do a file stroke, I'm gonna find the miter. I'm gonna move over,
That's okay.
right? So I'm gonna find the miter and then take a file stroke on the top and the bottom. Find the miter, take a file stroke. Why am I doing it like this?
So she can do it.
So you don't change the miter?
Yeah, you don't want to lose the miter, right? So if the miter was perfect, I just need you to remove more, and you want to make sure that it's finding the miter each time, and you're keeping your file strokes nice and consistent. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. Well, that makes sense to him.
But if you have a T47 bottom bracket, you use the same file probably, huh?
Yeah, that just means that you're going to have to feather
Careful.
Yeah.
more exaggerating, or more exaggeratively. Is that a word? Exaggerate.
Yeah, that's a word. Preposition.
Get rid of my burr while I'm here. Why am I using the small file?
A little bit at a time.
For removing the burr, it's because I'm lazy and I have to use a small file to get into the middle. So now I have the same file in my hand to do this. Otherwise, use a big file. And then we check it. So I was pretty aggressive. I removed, I bet I still have more to do, but I removed a good amount of material. I would encourage you not to be so aggressive, at least until you get a feel for how much material is being removed each time. Because this is not a good place to have a hole either. I fill a lot of holes on chainstays to BVs, so. Okay, so now we're getting better. Getting some. Still a lot more to go though. But check your filing. Is it still contacting the whole thing? And it sure is. I'm stoked. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Okay, so I will keep doing what I'm doing. Once I get the fit to the marks that I want, and they're both reaching there with the same amount of force, right? Mark your vent holes, drill your vent holes, mechanically clean, chemically clean, and then the next time I get you guys together, which is looking like tomorrow now, I'll go over the welding sequence. It's not what you think. Cool? Any questions here?
Where are you doing your vent holes?
Inside here.
In the center on the BB.
Yeah. Sometimes people are like, do I need to worry about the threads? You don't. There's so many threads in there that we don't need to worry about a hole being drilled through the thread. So don't worry about that. Just make sure that the vent hole is inside your chainstay. Cool. And it can be a number 2 all the way through. It can be a number 3 all the way through, because you're big enough here. It can be whatever you want. Any questions here?
I need you at the end of this.
Okay, let's get to it.
Can you